dreams. Brooke Shields, Sahara.
Tonight at 7 on Channel 9.
Tonight, terrorism on trial. If an accused terrorist is punished by the U.S., will the U.S. be further punished by terrorists?
America is becoming more divided every day.
Also tonight, the dream and the new reality. In focus, Blacks in America. Putting experience to work out of nursing homes and into the hearts of young people. And saluting the stars and stripes. Victory at sea.
From the Independent News, this is USA Tonight with Morton Dean.
Good evening. An accused Palestinian terrorist may soon be in the United States, in handcuffs and facing murder and air piracy charges. In just hours from now, the U.S. government is expected to complete the paperwork necessary to gain the extradition from West Germany of Mohammed Ali Hamadi. If all goes according to plan, it'll mark the first time that an accused Middle Eastern terrorist has been brought to the U.S. to stand trial. Jeff Kamen has been following developments in Washington, and he reports there are fears of terrorist retaliation against the U.S.
22-year-old Hamadi is one of several Shiite Lebanese terrorists identified by intelligence officials as having played a role in the hijacking of TWA Flight 847 to Beirut in 1985 and the murder of passenger Robert Stedham, a U.S. Navy sailor. The Justice Department is expected to seek multiple life sentences against Hamadi to make sure that he is never set free. His trial will be held at the U.S. District Courthouse in Washington.
There's going to be a security problem of an enormous nature. There are going to be Jack Rubies around. People wanting to kill Hamadi. Whether before he's put on trial, or let's presume he's put on trial and convicted, we're going to end up with terrible problems of keeping him away from the general prisoner population. I mean, I think that he will virtually be in solitary for the rest of his life.
Terrorism expert Kupperman believes that just as Western European governments have been targeted for retaliation by terrorist groups whose members have been captured and put on trial, Americans overseas may be targeted because of the Hamadi case.
I don't think we're going to see attacks in the U.S., but I could be wrong. We're going to see attacks in Europe against U.S. diplomats, businessmen, in general U.S. government officials, bombings, assassinations, maybe some kidnappings. And for whatever number of Americans there are who were foolish enough to remain in Beirut, they are gravely at risk.
A great nation has to put its principles ahead of its fears.
Congressman Stephen Solars, a senior member of the Foreign Affairs Committee and an expert on the Middle East, feels the trial of Hamadi will help restore the Reagan administration's anti-terrorism credibility.
I think we have a much better chance of successfully countering terrorism.
State Department officials say they're working hard to make the Hamadi extradition to the United States the quickest one ever. And because of concern about possible violence against American installations overseas as a result of the extradition and the subsequent trial, there will be a higher state of anti-terrorism alert at American embassies, consulates, and military installations around the world. Meanwhile, there is speculation in West Germany tonight that this German businessman, Rudolf Cordes, who was kidnapped in Beirut on Saturday, may have been grabbed to set up a trade for Hamadi. American officials do not believe that the West Germans would capitulate if that turns out to be the case. Jeff Kamen at the State Department.
He could become a hostage himself, but Church envoy Terry Waite says he'll meet face-to-face soon with the terrorists holding U.S. hostages in Lebanon. Waite told reporters that direct talks with the Muslim group Islamic Jihad had been made increasingly dangerous by the European arrests of terrorist suspects. Waite said he might be held by the Muslim group as a bargaining chip to free captured terrorists. This is the fifth trip to Lebanon for Waite. He says there were attempts to kidnap him during the 4 previous visits. The Tower Commission, headed by former Senator John Tower. It's the special commission appointed by President Reagan to investigate the Iran-Contra affair. Its mission to get to the bottom of the scandal, but the panel seems to be having a problem. Jan Smith reports the problem may in fact be President Reagan himself.
White House schedulers are reportedly stonewalling the attempts of the Tower Commission to interview the president about the Iran-Contra scandal.
I say, go to it.
When the president appointed the board on December 1st to probe the National Security Council, he promised his full cooperation.
If we're to maintain confidence in our government's foreign policy apparatus,
There must be a full and complete airing of all the facts.
The three-man team, former Secretary of State Edmund Muskie, former NSC Advisor General Brent Scowcroft, and former Senator John Tower, understood that pledge to mean access to the top.
The President will be available to respond to questions from us. He has pledged his cooperation.
But with 2 weeks to go on a 60-day timetable, the review board has been unable to schedule an interview with President Reagan. The White House staff denies the president is stalling and says the panel was offered a date in mid-December that was turned down as premature. But White House sources say in the last 2 weeks, the president's schedulers have sidestepped requests for interviews with the review team. The rebuff is linked to the White House appointment of David Abshire to coordinate the administration's response to Iran-Contra investigations, and the subsequent change in strategy to keep the president detached from inquiries until all the evidence is in. Meanwhile, the White House is being criticized in a draft report by the Senate Intelligence Committee obtained by the New York Times. The report concludes the administration repeatedly ignored warnings its arms sales to Iran were based on faulty intelligence, mistakes, and misjudgments. But some senators objected to the release of the report, saying the conclusions are incomplete.
I respectfully and regretfully decline to answer the question based on my constitutional rights.
And the men who know the most about what went wrong in the White House basement continue to offer the least cooperation to all investigative efforts. White House spokesman insists President Reagan will meet with the Tower Commission before its probe is complete, but the lack of access to key players and the complicated picture is forcing the commission to consider asking the White House to extend its deadline by several weeks. At the White House, Jan Smith reporting.
The war between Iran and Iraq rages on, with both sides claiming significant gains in current battles. Iran says its invasion force has broken through Iraqi defenses and is driving toward Basra, Iraq's second largest city and its southern provincial capital. But reports from U.S. intelligence say Iran has not made major gains on the ground and has suffered heavy losses. Iraq, meanwhile, claims its troops have Iranian forces bottled up near Basra, while the Iraqi Air Force reports big hits on 6 Iranian cities. Up next on this national holiday for Dr. Martin Luther King, an In Focus report, Blacks in America, losing ground in the 80s.
Just in the past few years, some few steps have been taken to make it better for us, and here comes the Reagan administration trying to roll back those gains.
USA Tonight, brought to you by Kellogg's Corn Flakes.
Look who gives you Asia after only 60,000 miles. Europe after only 40,000 miles. And the continental United States after just 20,000 miles. Look whose frequent flyer program serves up the world faster than any other airline.
Look to us, Northwest.
Kellogg's Corn Flakes is my favorite cereal. I love them a lot.
It's not fancy, it's just really good. It's just like a breath of fresh air early in the morning. It's crunchy and it just gets me going. You pour the Kellogg's Corn Flakes, put some milk on it, some fresh fruit, you got a perfect breakfast. Kellogg's Corn Flakes means bringing my baby up the right way, the healthy way.
And I love them this much.
Corn Flakes from Kellogg's. What more could you want from a cereal?
Today in Music History, brought to you by LaJoy, America's favorite brand of Oriental food. Dazzling. Outrageous. Lovable. Luscious. You know her as Dolly. Dolly Rebecca Parton. Born today, January 19th, 1946.
On behalf of LaJoy, we welcome you aboard our flight bound for the Orient. We'll be arriving in just 8 minutes.
Tonight, depart from the routine. Discover improved LaJoy dinners like savory chicken chow mein. Just eat and serve and you're off for the Orient.
Please check to see tray tables are in position. And before that first flight, make sure seatbelts are securely fastened.
Improved LaJoy Oriental dinners. a welcome departure.
Most emergencies in this country aren't national. They happen state by state by state. And there's a branch of America's armed forces that's first to come to a state's rescue, the Army National Guard, trained to be a partner of the Army in national defense.
Move checkpoint 8, out.
Then putting that training to work to protect your town and state.
If it gets any higher, we're gonna have to get those people out of there, over.
And for 2 days a month of your time, you can be there, earning extra pay and learning new skills while you're helping people.
Thank God you're here.
Join us. Give us 2 days a month of your time. You'll be keeping the Army National Guard strong, and our country, our state, and our neighbors a little more.
Eddie!
When you have a part-time, smart-time job with the Army National Guard, you're part of America at its best. Call toll-free.
The nation paused today to honor a man and his dream of equality, Martin Luther King, Jr. In Philadelphia, the Liberty Bell marked King's birthday 58 years ago and his death 19 years ago. At King's grave in Atlanta, his widow, Coretta Scott King, was joined by Secretary of State Schultz and Jesse Jackson. In Arizona, nearly 15,000 demonstrators called for the ouster of the new governor. Just a week after taking office, Governor Evan Mecham rescinded the state's holiday honoring King. Martin Luther King Day around the nation.
I think we will have to continue to carry the work on that Dr. King left back here for us to do. And I think one day we will make it.
Martin Luther King had a dream in which blacks had the same rights and the same opportunities as whites. His campaign of nonviolence led to many tangible changes, but now almost a generation after King's death, some gains have been lost. John Aubuchon has more on tonight's In Focus report.
We can't talk about an economic recovery when black unemployment is at 15% and over 8 million Americans are out of work. America is becoming more divided every day. Divided by the growing gap between the rich and the poor, by the growing gap between whites and blacks.
That's a grim portrait, especially if you put it next to the Morning in America society President Reagan paints, where the economy pumps out thousands of new jobs each week. Here's the society civil rights leaders see. Black unemployment in the 6 years before Reagan, 13.7%. The average under Reagan, 16.6%. Median black family income down $1,500 a year in the Reagan era. Ronald Reagan did not create the problems which have kept blacks out of jobs or locked into poverty. Historic prejudices, lack of education, seniority systems. For a century and a half, blacks have faced these. So what happened? In the 1980s, America's heavy industries, the smokestack economy, slipped farther and faster. Black workers with fewer skills and less seniority often were the first to be laid off and the last to be called back to work in the Reagan recovery. So black civil rights leaders say we're in this difficulty just when the Reagan administration was trying to roll back the hiring preferences and anti-bias enforcement efforts of the past.
And now, just in the past few years, some few steps have been taken to make it better for us, and here comes the Reagan administration trying to roll back those gains. In the past 6 years, we have found ourselves as minority citizens fighting hard to protect the rights that we thought we'd already gained.
Of course, there is another view. As the black middle class grows, and it has, the so-called bootstrap conservatives argue that black Americans have a better chance because President Reagan has made the economy better.
That's why I would encourage everyone to embrace capitalism, because that's what runs this country. It's not welfare, it's not set-asides, it's mainstream free market enterprise systems.
But mainstream free market enterprise is a distant dream for many black Americans. Nearly a third are still below the poverty line, some 3 times the rate of white Americans. This is John Aubuchon in Washington.
Up next, another victory for the Stars and Stripes is anything but smooth sailing, and a unique program finds that troubled students and senior citizens have something to offer each other.
I like to come here and help the old folks and do things for them and take them places where they want to go.
Why?
Because I love them.
The golfer and the homemaker have something in common. We call it athlete's back. That sudden minor back pain that comes from overused muscles. New Doan's ibuprofen backache pills contain the most modern pain relief medicine you can buy without prescription.
Relieving back pain doesn't have to be hit or miss.
Ibuprofen has worked for millions.
New Doan's works directly on minor back pain to relieve it in the early stages.
New Doan's helps put your athlete's back in action fast.
Cadillac Seville for 1987, an unmistakable statement of success. Its elegant design surrounds some of the most remarkable engineering in Cadillac history. Engineering designed to enhance your comfort, your control, and your confidence with impeccable manners on the road. And a new, longer warranty, all the while reminding you that Seville represents the ultimate in American luxury sedans. Seville, the elegant spirit of Cadillac.
My hairline receded, okay? Now my gums are receding. You know, you can get cavities where you never knew you had teeth at the roots. I am going to use Listermint, because the fluoride in Listermint can penetrate the roots and help protect them. All this and fresh breath, too.
When the burning, itching, and soreness of hemorrhoids flare up, Tux medicated pads give you soothing, cooling relief on contact. For hemorrhoid flare-up, get Tux from Park Davis.
3.9% financing on every new Ford car and truck only at Burt Wyman Ford. Here's our front-wheel drive Escort money-saving full-price clearance. This 1983 four-door Escort, $29.88. This 1982 Ford Escort hatchback, only $19.88. This 1981 Ford Escort wagon, only $16.88. All cars 100% winterized, no extra cost at Chicago's #1 Ford dealer, Burt Wyman Ford, 3535 North Ashland.
January is wall-to-wall clearance time at Harlem Furniture.
This means you can, you must, you will save.
Save
70% and more in January at Harlem.
Get $900 bedrooms from $399.
$800 living rooms from $299.
$500 dinettes from $199.
Through January, wall-to-wall clearance time only at Harlem. The best.
Harlem has style.
Furniture.
Harlem has quality.
Discounts.
Tonight's best place since 1912. Harlem Furniture, you like our style.
One step taken, one to go. Leaders of the United Steelworkers Union today overwhelmingly endorsed a tentative contract with USX, the nation's largest steelmaker. Union leaders will now mail ballots to the rank and file. If they accept or vote to accept the contract, USX could be back in business by early February. 22,000 USX workers have been off the job for 6 months. Off the coast of Australia today, there were pounding seas and pounding hearts. A U.S. yacht, the Stars and Stripes, lost one of its sails, but it didn't lose its spirit. Dennis Conner and his crew turned the punishing winds to their advantage and defeated New Zealand by 1 minute and 29 seconds. Winning 4 out of 5 races against New Zealand means that Conner's yacht will sail against Australia's best for the America's Cup. It was a sweet victory for Conner, who now has the opportunity to avenge his loss to Australia in 1983. The America's Cup Finals begin January 31st.
USA Tonight's Health Beat is brought to you by Advil.
If your teenage daughter is overweight, it may be because you overfed her when she was a baby. According to a new study by the American Heart Association, infant girls who are overfed have a much greater chance of becoming obese in their teenage years. The study is based on 5 years of tests with baboons, animals that develop much like humans. The report also suggests that overfed baby boys don't seem to get as fat in their teens as baby girls. Researchers say the best way to avoid the obesity problem and future heart disease, only feed your infant when he or she wants, and no more. Don't make the baby finish the bottle.
USA Tonight's Health Beat was brought to you by Advil.
When you have arthritis, mornings can be nightmares. Some days it hurts just to put on a watch.
Today, people are turning from aspirin to Advil for hours of relief from minor arthritis pain.
Advil contains a non-prescription strength of ibuprofen, the medicine doctors have prescribed over 130 million times in prescription brands like Motrin.
Advil works for hours, and that makes mornings much easier.
For minor arthritis pain, muscle aches, even headaches, Advil, advanced medicine for pain.
Nice night.
Yeah.
In recent clinical studies, one group used scope, and another group used Levoris. The results? Even after 3 hours, Levoris was more effective than scope at reducing bad breath. We always knew Levoris with zinc chloride was more effective than scope. To appreciate how much more effective Levoris is, we suggest you do your own field research.
Dad's bad, Mommy. Daddy's coughing like crazy.
Oh, you sound awful.
Give him my cough medicine.
Honey, Daddy needs something stronger than that.
When a strong cough comes on, adults need a strong medicine to help turn it off. Vicks Formula 44, the only liquid cough medicines with the maximum strength cough suppressant adults need in every formula for the relief adults want.
Let's go, Dad.
It takes a strong medicine to help turn a strong cough off. From Vicks, of course.
Across much of the country, the motto these days is dig we must. More than a foot of snow has fallen in Kansas as a brutal winter storm continues to move across 10 states, stretching from Texas to Massachusetts. In New Mexico, more than 50 inches of snow fell and drifts over 7 feet were reported. At least 32 deaths have been blamed on the storm thus far. Anxiety, it's the most common mental illness plaguing Americans. Doctors often treat it with the most commonly prescribed drug, Valium. But Valium can cause serious side effects. Karen Hasby reports on a new method of treatment.
Most people would agree we are living in stressful times. Our jobs, our families, the world around us move at a sometimes terrifying pace. It's no wonder so many suffer from the mental illness called anxiety. An estimated 15 to 20 million Americans suffer such anxiety that they need a doctor's help. Doctors usually prescribe a type of drug called a benzodiazepine. You probably recognize it under the trade name Valium. It is the most commonly prescribed drug in the world, and yet it can have very serious side effects.
Which includes sedation, impairment of psychomotor activity, which would include slowed reaction time or difficulty making judgments, ataxia, which is difficulty in coordination when you walk. They can produce some cognitive deficits, most notably memory difficulties or memory loss. I would say those are the most common side effects of benzodiazepines.
Are they addictive?
And they are addictive.
At the beginning of this year, the FDA approved a drug which may eventually replace Valium as a treatment for anxiety. Called buspirone, it apparently is just as effective in calming people down, but has none of the negative side effects.
There's not the potential for addiction that is there with some of the benzodiazepines as there is with Buspar. So we think it has some major advantages in that way. Also, there's not quite the sedative effect that Valium has.
Bristol-Myers has already begun selling buspirone under the trade name Buspar, and the company is expected to make a fortune with this new product. However, there's some debate as to how quickly Buspar will be accepted by the medical community.
So we feel that it's a major new drug and can help in the order of 10 million or so people who have chronic anxiety disorders.
You cannot immediately switch patients who've been taking Valium and put them on buspirone. The drug buspirone does not block the withdrawal effects of Valium. So I don't think you're going to find doctors all over the country rushing out and switching people over.
One thing the doctors do agree on, for the tens of millions of Americans who suffer from anxiety, the side effects of drug treatment are something they no longer need to worry about. I'm Karen Hasby in New York.
Up next, troubled students and senior citizens come together in a unique program with some surprising results.
Well, we're moving on now. Moving on now.
1, 2, 3.
Tonight at 6:30 on Channel 9.
Attention campers! Save
thousands of dollars now during Tom Raper's 19th Annual Camper Show inside Richmond Square Mall, Richmond, Indiana.
Tom Raper has gigantic savings on all motorhomes, fifth wheels, travel trailers, tent campers, truck campers, and caps.
Free admission to the finest, largest individual dealer camper show in the Midwest.
Inside the beautiful, heated Richmond Square Mall, Richmond, Indiana. I-70 to exit 156A, Route 40 West.
2 miles to Tom Raper's Camper Show.
Open 10 to 9, Sunday noon to 6.
Big discounts during show.
Do high furniture prices leave you cold? Shop Gaines Furniture Outlet for super hot prices on quality furniture. Choose from hundreds of living room groups starting at only $149. Solid wood bunk beds as low as $39. Classy oak and brass dinettes only $149. And 6-piece pine groups only $199. Plus hundreds of other specials at 70% savings. And you still get a free TV with your special purchase at Gaines Furniture Outlet, 7414 South Cicero, Ford City West, behind Aldi's.
Come and get it while it's hot.
USA Tonight, brought to you by Vicks Formula 44D.
They are sometimes treated as society's leftovers, old and lonely nursing home residents, but an innovative program in Miami is trying to help these elderly people by letting them help young and troubled public school students. Dave Willingham reports the dream of this program, called Golden Gleaners, is for young and old to glean the best from one another.
Once I come over here, it made me feel special.
He sure hugs me and make me feel so good. Take 10 years off my life.
It seems an unlikely formula. Put problem kids from a ghetto elementary school with lonely Medicaid-supported oldsters at a nursing home and try to improve the lives of both. It's unlikely, but it's working.
In my wildest imagination and my most sophisticated schemes, never could I have created the kinds of things that have happened between these two groups.
Sharon Sabrisa started Golden Gleaners 2 summers ago here at Lily C. Evans School. She and other staffers pick the 12 kids with the school's worst behavior problems and take them for weekly 3-hour visits to North Shore Nursing Home. The youngsters carpool to the home, where activities range from informal meeting and greeting to structured programs like sing-along, storytelling, and this monthly barbecue. There are touching moments.
We love you. Have a nice day.
It's fascinating the way it stun our kids when they get over there. It seems like they change over almost in a day.
It's just something that's indescribable, because a different set of children in school, and yet at the nursing home you can see a complete turnaround.
When you see those residents looking at those youngsters, it's like they've come alive again a little bit themselves.
The nursing home residents aren't even aware the children they hold so dear are discipline problems.
Good Lord, no. They're fine children. Normally, they would be beating each other up in the hall. They would be aggravating the teacher. They would be, for the most part, very defiant.
Fighting, cursing, being bad, calling names. And that's it.
You feel like it's getting better? You feel like you're getting over there?
Yeah, I'm trying to act good.
Hard data indicates the youngsters are acting better here in the classroom. Grades, attendance, and attitudes up. Behavior problems down. Evidence also they're starting to develop some life goals.
I like to finish school and I like to be a nurse.
What would you like to do?
To get my education.
Nobody can say, though, exactly why the improvement.
I might surmise that they both are people of needs. And by helping one another, their needs are being satisfied.
If there's a negative here, it's that some kids simply can't cope with nursing home residents. They withdraw or make fun.
So that's the downside. I see more ups than I do down, obviously.
Problems have been rare indeed, and word of the program's success is spreading. Other schools are looking to adopt it. But those involved are just pleased they found each other through Golden Gleaners.
They show they love, they show how much they love. I like them, because I had a grandmama, she died.
Well, I love them so much. They are so helpful.
It gives one a sense that there's still a lot of good in the world.
This is Dave Willingham in Miami.
Tomorrow, the private arms market, an in-focus look on the people who wheel and deal in deadly weapons. That's USA Tonight. I'm Morton Dean. Have a good night and a good day tomorrow.
Startle your friends today. I think I like the sound of this.
WKRP, tonight at 5:30 on Channel 9.
Have you ever had an original idea for a new product? Maybe you have a better way of improving an existing product. If you or someone you know has a new idea, an invention, or an improvement, there is a company in Washington, D.C. called American Patent Research and Development. Their experienced staff may be able to assist you through the difficult maze of new